Yep.
Wait. I'm hurt. They treated her as such and I'll give you a high sign when we're good.
Thank you all for joining us for this rally. I appreciate everybody turning out today. My name is Grace. I am a field organizer with the Wisconsin Democrats. Before we get started here, I have two things I really want to talk with you all about. The first is the importance of early voting. We are 1 week out now from that November election, and when Democrats early vote, Democrats win. Yeah, we have options right now to early vote in person. There are still options to get your absentee ballot, but I really want to take some time to encourage everybody that's here today to early vote. It takes strain off of poll workers on election day, and we're expecting unprecedented turnout this year. And so, if you haven't already, please early vote. If you have any questions about it, come and find me, and I'm happy to answer them. I want to thank you all for being here today. And then the second thing, we have 1 more week till November 5th. The most important thing you can do in the next 7 days is knock doors. When we knock doors, we're talking with strong Democrats that don't always make it out to the polls. All of the conversations we have are generally friendly, and we're talking to folks who are in our community who we want to turn out for Democrats. It's easy to have these conversations when we have such wonderful candidates like our women here tonight. As somebody from Green Bay, I feel so incredibly blessed that I have the opportunity to vote for so many amazing female candidates, like Kristen Liley and Tammy Baldwin. And so, to elect these wonderful women, we really need to connect with as many voters as possible. I want to encourage you all to come and find me or my partner Yakira over there in the crowd. Yay! And talk to us about volunteering. There are ways for everybody to get involved, and this really is an all-hands-on-deck situation. In Wisconsin, our elections often come down to just 3 votes per ward. So if we're able to connect with 3 more voters, that can be the difference between winning and losing. And so, without further ado, I want to take some time to introduce Kristen Liley. She is going to be our next, thank you, Sarah, our next representative for the 8th Congressional District. Thank you so much.
Well, first of all, thank you, Grace, and all of the organizers and people out there who are working on campaigns. This work is exhausting and exhilarating and exciting, and this is a district that everybody in the country, everybody around the world in many cases, is watching. So there's no rest for the weary right now, Grace, and we couldn't be more grateful to you all. Can we hear it for those folks who are working on campaigns? That's right. That's right. My name is Kristen Lyerly. I am a sixth-generation Wisconsinite. I am the mom of 4 boys like this. I get you, Maddox. I get you. You're Maddox, right? Yeah, we're going to talk to you soon, I think. Yeah? And I'm an OBGYN doctor. Yes. And a big part of the reason that I'm sitting here today with you is because of Senator Baldwin. She's heard this story before, but I think it's worth retelling. When I first started doing OBGYN work, for some crazy reason, women's health has always been political. So I don't know why, but I knew that when I went into it, and I knew I'd have to be a good advocate. And the first time I went to Washington, D.C. just happened to be when Senator Baldwin was Representative Baldwin, and I had the joy of meeting with her and talking about some issues that I wasn't feeling quite comfortable with, but it was what I was sent to talk to her about, and I was trying to sell it in the best way that I could, and she listened patiently. And then when I was done talking, she said, "Kristen, thank you so much for sharing your opinion and sharing your thoughts. And, you know, I have a little bit of a different perspective, and I want to tell you why." And she told me why she disagreed with the thing that I was lobbying for. But she did it in the most wonderful and gentle and common ground kind of way. And I walked out of that experience thinking, this is a woman who knows how to get shit done. And that's what we've seen from Tammy Baldwin over and over and over again. And she's going to tell some of her personal success stories that I sometimes tell when you're not here. But it is my just total honor to have worked with you on important things like the Women's Health Protection Act.
Sorry. You want me just to yell?
Can you hear?
Do I need to get behind them?
Maybe? Hello, hello. Is this better?
Yeah.
Better? Okay. We'll move these back. But I have to bring my beer. The Women's Health Protection Act, which I'm sure she's going to mention, and so many other pieces of critical legislation for women and families in this country. For me, as I've watched her work, as I've watched the incredible work of so many other people, I realized back in 2020 that advocacy was not going to be enough, that I would have to enter the political stage, and man, did that ever happen recently in 2022 with the Dobbs decision. Yeah, the Dobbs decision that took away abortion access to over a third of the women in this country. For me, here in Wisconsin, trying to provide just fundamental health care for my patients was impossible because you can't take abortion care out of health care. There are parts of miscarriage management, infertility treatment, and certainly complicated pregnancy management. These people who are grieving and heartbroken, aspects of their care is all related to abortion care. And what we're seeing across the country is women are dying in states that have abortion bans at a rate 3 times greater than in states where they can get access to fundamental health care. And it's not just women, it's babies too. Infant mortality is rising in these states. And that was a huge driver for me to go and declare my candidacy for the 8th Congressional District to represent you all. And it is my absolute joy to be here doing that. But I am not alone. I am far from alone because did you know that here within the 8th Congressional District, we got some new maps last year in the spring. Yeah, and do you know what the new maps have meant? Candidates. We have the most incredible candidates. Can I point one out to you? Ryan Spouty. This is Ryan's district right here. He is going to represent this district when he wins next week. Next week? Yes. We have more women running for state seats in the 8th Congressional District than men. More women than men. That is unprecedented in this area. And when I go to Washington, D.C., I will only be the 3rd woman that Wisconsin has sent to Washington, D.C., and only the 1st from this region. And that is incredible. Incredible. Thank you. I know you are. I know you're with us. So having said all of those things, could I just one more time repeat what Grace said? We're not doing this without you. Ryan, me, Senator Baldwin, we cannot do this work without all of the help from our campaign team and all of the folks who are out knocking doors with us, making the phone calls, doing the text banking, writing the postcards, having the conversations, getting out and early voting. Everyone, every single one of us has a part to play here. Every single one of us. We can't do this without you. I'm incredibly grateful to you all for being here tonight, and I'm going to hand the mic over to my friend, Senator Tammy Baldwin. Oh, never mind.
I think Maddox has something to say.
I'm going to hand the mic over to Maddox. Are you ready?
There you go. Are you gonna stand up?
Thank you, Dr. Christy Riley. Hello, my name is Maddox, and I am 6 years old. I'd like to start off the evening with a joke. What's a cow's favorite thing to do on a Friday night?
I know.
Go to the movies. I am so excited to be here today to introduce Senator Tammy Baldwin. She has continued to stand up for the people of Wisconsin. And I wrote Senator Baldwin a letter of supporting for all the great things she has done here. I also asked for a yard sign, which came today, as my letter said, keep making good decisions. Here's another 6 years.
Yep, just another 6 years.
Good job.
Good to see you. Alan and Colin.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. And I was going to do a little introduction for you. Is that all right?
Okay, so we as a family have talked a lot about the different candidates that are running for office this season. And through our research and conversations, we have found that Senator Baldwin's platform matches our family's thoughts on what the people need here in Wisconsin. She is committed to cap the price of insulin for those that need it. She continues to fight for the rights of women to allow us to continue to make decisions for our bodies. Yes. She is actively working to preserve our land to allow our future generations to grow up in a healthier place. She continues to support our public education school systems. Yes. And her continued advocacy to allow our LGBTQ population to have the support and love that they deserve. So as Maddox said, here's to another 6 years. Senator Baldwin, the floor is yours.
My gosh, thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Maddox. Thank you, Alan and Steele, for being here. My goodness. This is the home stretch.
I know.
The home stretch has finally come. And I want to thank all of you who are here today. I'm going to start with something we all know. We are the battleground state. Yeah, it's up to us. We're going to decide who the next president is. We're going to decide which party controls the United States Senate, which party controls the House of Representatives. Yeah. And we're going to do some major movement in the state legislature, right? And so no pressure, right? And on the extent, I want to extend what Dr. Lyerly said, what Kristen said about the new maps that we have, because as she said, we now have candidates. There were huge parts of Wisconsin, deep red, gerrymandered districts, where Democrats maybe wanted to serve, but they looked at the district and said, I have no chance to win, so they didn't run. Yep. And it meant, you do doors to win elections, and so it meant that there were so many Democrats in deep red districts who never had anyone come to their door and talk about the issues. Right. And then there were voters who would look at their ballot beforehand and say, wow, it's just the incumbent. There's no one running against the incumbent. That's not a choice. And it kind of depressed or suppressed voting. All that's changed. And a lot of people ask me, well, you're running statewide, why do you care? I care who's doing doors. I care, Ryan, who's bringing the message to the people. And it makes all the difference. And in a battleground state like this, your reaching out is going to make the difference. I don't want to speak for too long, although Kristen did invite me to share a few stories. But I'll maybe get to one or two of them. But I really want to end by providing unsolicited advice for those of you who are going to do canvassing and outreach and phone calls, etc. So I'll get to that in a moment. In this race, in my race, the contrast could not be more stark. My opponent, Eric Hovde, wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act, stripping millions from their health insurance. I helped write the Affordable Care Act when I was in the House of Representatives. And part of my motivation for the work that I did there was my own life experience. I had a childhood illness when I was 9 years old, and I was in the hospital for 3 months. And my grandparents raised me, and they had health insurance until they discovered it didn't cover grandchildren. And then I was a child with a pre-existing condition, so as my grandparents tried to find health insurance for me, they were turned down at every option that was out there. Turned down, because back then the big health insurance companies, even the small ones, had no obligation, no legal mandate to cover people who were sick or who had a pre-existing condition. So millions of people in America back then with battling cancer or asthma or diabetes, or me, a child with a pre-existing condition, we just went without health insurance. And we changed all that with the Affordable Care Act. We told those health insurance companies, you can't discriminate anymore because someone is sick or has been sick. And think about that idea that insurance is this idea that we all pitch in against the risk that anything bad happens to any one of us, right? So I wrote the provision, I'm bragging now, that that allows young people to stay on their parents' health insurance until they turn 26. That was my doing. And I love going onto campuses and saying to the students, okay, if you're a student, raise your hand if you're on your parents' health insurance, and see almost every hand go up. We can do big things. We can do big things. And my opponent asked about my provision, said it was stupid. I mean, what's stupid about allowing young people to get a head start in life after they graduate from high school? The first job isn't going to offer health insurance. This keeps them well until the day that they do have the type of employment that provides insurance with it. On the issue of choice, my opponent celebrated the Dobbs decision that overturned Wbay. He thinks it's okay that our rights and freedoms vary from state to state, or even in Wisconsin from county to county. Because we have a law that was passed in 1849, widely viewed as a criminal abortion ban. And at this point in time, services are only available in 3 counties in Wisconsin. 3 counties. Your rights and freedoms depend upon your zip code. That may be okay with Eric Hovde. It is not okay with me. And so, I'm the lead author of the Women's Health Protection Act, which would restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land, and it would take the additional and very necessary step of telling states like Wisconsin, you got to get rid of that 1849 criminal ban. And states like Texas, you got to get rid of your 6-week ban. And states like Idaho, you got to get rid of that criminal ban on traveling out of state to access health care. You got to get rid of those. The differences could not be more stark on so many different issues. And I think you've heard many say that our democracy, our very democracy, is on the line. So here's my advice about canvassing. And just so you know, I mean, our races are super thin in Wisconsin. We are that battleground state. It could be decided by 1, 2, 3 votes per precinct.
Yeah.
And so how do we win those people over? How do we reach them? We canvass. We talk door to door. Don't feel, though, you have to deliver 20,000 votes. Just work on delivering one that wasn't planning on voting. You can do that in these last 7 days. If we do that collectively, we're going to win. Okay, so my unsolicited advice about canvassing. You're here on a beautiful Tuesday evening because you care deeply about the outcome of this election. And you know what? You probably have a reason. We're going to have some visitors, interlopers here. Look, there's a reason why you're here. It's your why. When you go to the doors, I would definitely recommend that you start your conversation with, I am here because. Maybe it's because you want your rights and freedoms that we've just lost back again. Maybe it's because you care about health care. Maybe your passion is fighting climate change and fighting for a sustainable environment for the next generation. Maybe you're there because we see so many attacks on the LGBTQ community and you want equality to be the law of the land. Start with what your why is. It's a powerful connection. So the other advice I have for you is closing the deal. All right? Oftentimes we forget to ask. You know, we talk about the issues, talk about the different candidates. So I'm going to tell you a little story. Some of you are old enough to remember, not many of you are old enough to remember, the Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill. You probably know the name. So he wrote a book called All Politics is Local. In that book, there's a chapter called You Gotta Ask. All right, so he basically talks about going out to the polling place for his very first race for Congress. He and his wife emerge from their home, and they see the neighbor, Mrs. O'Brien. And Mrs. O'Brien says to Tip O'Neill, I voted for you even though you never asked. And he was kind of taken aback. I mean, he was thinking about how helpful and wonderful he always was to Mrs. O'Brien. You know, he'd get out a shovel and help her shovel the sidewalk after a winter snow, or help her if she was struggling with the groceries to bring them inside. But she said, Mrs. O'Brien, people want to be asked to. And so he took that to heart. He and his wife proceeded to the polling location, and as they went to cast their ballots separately, Tip turns to his spouse and says, darling, can I have your vote? And she says, Tip, I'll give it every due consideration. But I want to model this. I ask all of you for your vote. I ask all of you for your support. All right, I asked. When you name the candidates, because if people say yes, they made a deal with you. They made a contract with you, and they are much more likely to follow through on their commitment. So go out there. You're going to bring this home. We are counting on you, and thank you for your willingness to fight for your democracy and to fight for your rights and to fight for the candidates who are fighting for you.
Yes.